All right, in this short video, we're going to build a Kubeflow pipeline using the KFP SDK for the natural language processing disaster tweets Kaggle competition. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Now, assuming that you've already installed Kubeflow, we're going to want to navigate to the Notebooks view and click on New Notebook. And from here, we're going to want to give our notebook a name. And we want to make a few changes to the default here. We want to change our RAM to 6 gigabytes, and we want to increase the size of our workspace volume from 5 gigs to 50 gigs. Beyond that, we can take the rest of the defaults, click the Launch button. This is going to bring up our notebook server, and once it's ready, we can go ahead and connect to it. This will take us to the Jupyter Lab interface, and once we're here in the launcher, we want to click on the Terminal button to bring up a terminal session. Then from here, we're going to want to git clone the Kubeflow examples directory. And once that's all pulled down, you can see our Explorer tree now has the examples directory. We want to click on that, locate the natural language processing with disaster tweets directory, click on that, and then we want to locate the KFP notebook. So go ahead and click on that. And now that we're here, we're ready to go ahead and start running this notebook. The first thing that we want to do is run our pip install, which is going to install our Kubeflow Pipeline SDK. And once that finishes up, confirm that it's successfully installed, we're going to want to restart the kernel. So go ahead and restart the kernel, confirm that. Now we're ready to work through the balance of the notebook. The first task is going to be to import our Kubeflow Pipeline library. So let's go ahead and highlight that cell and run it. Next up, we're going to want to run the cells that are going to allow us to download our data sets. So let's go ahead and run those. Plus, let's also run the bit of code that's going to create the pipeline component for downloads. Then we're moving on to the load data section, right? We've downloaded data. Now let's go ahead and load the data. Let's also run the cell that's going to create the load data component in our pipeline. Next up, we want to pre-process that data. So run that cell, plus the associated code that's going to create that pipeline component, the pre-processing component. Next up is the corpus creation. So go ahead and run that cell, plus the associated cell, which is going to create the corpus creation component in our pipeline. Next up is the embedding step. So go ahead and run that code, plus the code that's going to create that particular step in the pipeline. And now we're ready to our final pipeline component, which is going to be the model building and training component. So run that, plus the code in order to create that step, and we're ready to wind things down. Let's go ahead and run the cell that's got the specifications for our pipeline using domain-specific language. Let's go ahead and make a quick modification here and use the appropriate download link that is accurate from where we pull down our code. So let's go ahead and make that change, run the cell. Now we're ready to actually run the bit of code that's going to run the pipeline using the KFP client. With that done, we get that hyperlink to click on Run Details, and this takes us right into the runtime execution graph for this particular pipeline. You can see the steps that we specified in the notebook: download data, load data, pre-process data, corpus creation, an embedding step, and our final step, which is the model building and training step. And that's it. You've successfully built a Kubeflow pipeline using the KFP client SDK for the natural language processing Kaggle competition.